and welcome to the CHS Open House this Saturday afternoon. We are in the midst of our department talks, and right now we're going to get going on our 2 p.m. session on language studies. So we are very excited to have here with us Ms. Lin Chong Yao, Ms. Chen Ying Ru, and Ms. Liana Kosasi. And they are going to be sharing a little bit about how language is our passport to the world, and about the language studies here in US. If you do have questions, we are going to be taking them through the Q&A function on Zoom. So you can ask your questions throughout the presentation, and then at the end, we can answer them all together. So there is a Q&A tab on your screen that you can click on, and then you can ask your questions there. You can view other questions that have been asked, and also like them so that we know which are the more burning questions that you have. Yeah. So for now, I'll just pass the time on and enjoy the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Okay, so let us start with a short PowerPoint slide demonstration so that you have a rough idea of what we offer here. And then after that, if you have questions, you can just ask us. Okay, let me share the screen first. Okay, can you see it?
Yes.
Okay, great. All right, let me make it a full screen first. Okay, can you see the full screen?
No, I think that might be a...
How about now?
Nope, maybe you try to exit and... there we go.
Okay, all right, thank you. So first, we are from the Center for Language Studies. As the name suggested, we are the provider of language modules. In our center, we provide 13 language modules, as you can see on the screen. Okay, so if you are interested in any one of them, just come to us. Okay, and I heard that I know we have 13 programs, and we also offer minor in language studies, and we also give you certificate. Yingru, can you tell us more about it?
Yes, the Center for Language Studies awards certificates of proficiency at the elementary, intermediate, and advanced levels. So who can get the certificates? Basically, all eligible NUS and exchange students who have successfully completed the qualifying modules will be issued digital badges, and they will be able to print the e-certificates from Accredible. More details will be sent out to you if you are in our language program, okay? So what are the qualifying modules for the certificate? So in our center, all the languages are categorized or structured in levels. So they are elementary, intermediate, advanced level. And some language programs even offer higher advanced levels. For example, German, French, Japanese, Korean, Spanish, and Thai. And for each level, there are 2 modules. So the qualifying modules are the higher module for each level. So let's take Korean as an example. Korean 1 and Korean 2 are at the elementary level. So when you completed and passed Korean 2, you are qualified for the certificate for elementary Korean. Okay, over to you, Chong Yao.
Okay, Liana, you have a question for me?
Yeah, it is very exciting that the center offers quite a lot of foreign languages, and then also with the certificate as well. How about the minor? Would you please share some details about this minor? Does every language in the center offer minor?
Sure, my pleasure. Okay, you can declare a minor in language studies. And so starting from the cohort 2017 to 20, slightly different. Okay, if you belong to this cohort, you have options. One of the options below, either you take 5 language modules in the same language, and then 1 recognized module, or you can take 4 language modules in the same language with 2 recognized modules. Okay, the recognized modules are from cross departments. In our website, you can check, you can see what are those recognized modules. Okay, Let me give you examples. Say, take Vietnamese as an example. From cohort 2021 onwards, the requirement is different, slightly different, okay? You only need to complete 20 MC, include the highest level. In general, 6th level is the highest one, okay? So say option 1, you can take all 6 modules from one language program, or you can take 4 and plus the highest module for any 4 modules of level 1 to level 5, and then with level 6, okay, or higher. Okay. It can be level 6 or higher, depends on where your starting point is. Okay, so basically you just need to take 5 modules. Let's see, this may be clearer, okay. Okay, take Thai language as an example. Scenario 1, you take all 6 from level 1 to level 6 if you don't have any background. Okay, or you can start from level 2. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 will meet the requirements. If you don't have any background, unfortunately, you will have to take 1 extra because we need you to include the highest module, right? And if you don't have background, you have to start from 1. So you can take 1 as just a preparation, but from 2 to 6 is actually help you to be qualified for the minor. If you start from level 3, so 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, you still get 5 modules that is required, or 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then some recognized modules, and so on and so forth. Okay. All right. So, but I like to remind you, not all language programs offer level 7 and up. So you need to consider carefully, and also depends on your proficiency level, whether it's feasible or not in your situation. But if one particular language is not suitable, you can always consider taking other language from the beginning. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't mean that just because you are too advanced in certain language, you don't have the chance to minor in language studies, because we have 13 programs for you to choose from. Okay. All right. Then how about Ingru? Can you share with us why should we learn foreign language?
Yes, I was still in your minor explanation, so I wish I could go back to my study time and to minor another language. Okay, so if I were able to do so, I would like to learn Vietnamese, Thai, all those languages, special script. I think it can be very challenging, but it will be very, very fun. Okay, so now back to your question. So Ibu Liana, why should we learn foreign languages?
It is, of course, it is very important to learn foreign language or languages. Why? Because being able to speak foreign language is very important soft skills, especially due to the internalizations of work and study opportunities. As we all understand, language and culture go hand in hand. So when you learn a foreign language, you will also acquire the cultural knowledge of the people, of the target language that you learn. So it means you are globally prepared, culturally sensitive, then you can also understand and relate well to the people, and wider and more tolerant worldview. It is also actually a good opportunity to cultivate your own awareness, as well to your own culture and your own identity while studying a foreign language. If you take a look at some of the benefits listed here in the slide, there are some points that you may have heard and well informed about these key points that I don't think I need to elaborate each of them, but let me highlight some of the important key points here. Well, anyway, when you join NUS, obviously, it is a step that you are preparing for better future, pursuing higher academic degree, or preparing yourself to join doing research, or preparing better career prospects. As I have mentioned before, when you learn a language, you will learn the culture. So this also means we can see that people with language skills on top of their expertise in their major field are much sought after. So please do remember that language skills as value added to the employability. But other than career prospects, some psychological aspects about learning a foreign language, or being able to speak a foreign language is also very obvious and important. Why? Because being multilingual will change the brain structures. It can help us to improve our memory, and also helps to process information better, helps to be able to deal with multitasking skills. Yeah, so please consider to read or learning, please consider reading or learning a foreign language in CLS. It will be enriching, life-changing, and fulfilling. Yeah, that's all about my sharing for the benefit of learning foreign language in CLS.
Thank you, Liana. It's really well said. I wish I can come back to my youth to take language again, as Ingrid just mentioned. Yes, and then it seems like I heard a lot from the student feedback. They like our courses. And so let's introduce, how are the class conducted?
Our language classes are interactive, meaning you will use the target language to interact with not only your teacher, but also with your classmate consistently, because you will have to complete tasks or some project using the target language. And to achieve the intended learning outcome is important, of course, but we do focus on the learning process as well. And in order to make our class interactive and communicative, we kept the class size very small. So usually not bigger than 30. And all our language teachers are experienced. And actually many of us are Teaching Excellence Prize Award winner. So not only at the faculty level, but also at the university levels. So you can see from the photos on the slide, these are some language immersion program. We do send students to the target countries for immersion, usually after completion of the second module. Okay, so these are some, I think in Korean K-pop, and this might be in Indonesian, in Korean. So the student, they can use their target language there and mingle with the locals to gain more firsthand experiences.
Yes.
Okay, now go back to our classroom. As I mentioned, our classes is interactive and communicative, and our teachers are all experienced. So if you choose to learn a language with us, don't worry, you will be in good hands. Okay, so over to you, Chongyao.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, that's our assurance. So it's not enough to just to hear from us, right? It's more a stronger witness if you hear it from your peers, which is who are the students who have taken modules from us. Okay, so let's play a video for you. Just give me a second. Right. Okay, hold on. Let me go to this. Okay, here. See if we can play from here. Are you able to see it?
Not yet.
Okay. Hold on. Okay, maybe I go out and come back again. It's a bit slow from here. Let's see. I can go. Okay. Okay, are you able to see this screen?
Yes.
Okay, thank you for your patience. I'm going to play.
I pick up a new language out of curiosity. Language is like a key to a door with many surprises behind it. And it's hard not to be curious.
CLS gave me language skills that are practical and useful in real-life settings.
I took up Vietnamese language because I see the impact it can have in the emerging economy in the current world.
I was mesmerized by the Thai and Vietnamese languages.
I decided to take up Chinese because I believe that it will be beneficial for my career.
It is the least stressful module as compared to my other core modules. Besides, I've also established strong connections and cross-cultural friendships.
Language classes were my favorite out of all the classes.
Lessons were really interesting.
Hindi classes were super fun and memorable. It was the class that I always look forward to.
Learning a language is challenging and requires great determination, but you will be proud of yourself after completing it.
The teachers at CLS always made the classes so engaging and fun. We were always motivated to step outside our comfort zones.
I like the smile you get when you go overseas and surprise locals by speaking to them in their local tongue.
Knowing a new language, we were also able to engage in deeper conversations with the locals during our SEP immersion.
I can now confidently communicate with people in Japan.
Now I can understand the way the Germans think.
As a community engager, my ability to communicate in Bahasa Indonesia has enabled me to break down boundaries with various communities in Singapore.
Mastering new languages also enhances resumes.
My language skills have helped me secure my current job and increase my market value.
I highly encourage you to learn Hindi at CLS. Definitely a must-do.
Learn a language that you are genuinely interested in and start early.
Start early. Your workload isn't as heavy in your freshman year.
Open your eyes on a global and international scale. Start early in your academic career.
Very meaningful.
Experience.
Unforgettable.
Life-changing.
Exciting.
CLS is a great place to start your language learning journey, so don't hesitate to pick up a new language today.
So thank you. Now we will take questions. Do you have any questions?
Yeah, so if you have any questions, you can feel free to put them on the Q&A tab. You can ask your questions there, and you can view other questions that have been asked as well. Maybe just to get us rolling, are there any common questions that you guys come across from students? Maybe the number one thing that is asked.
I think some students would like to see or want to know more about the certificate, right, Chong Yao?
Okay, I can show you the certificate. Okay, give me a second. Let me come out from here. All right, let me share the screen. Okay, this is our language certificate. As Ingru mentioned earlier on, usually 2 modules for 1 level. So 2, like 1 and 2 for elementary, 3, 4, or some of them can go to 5 for intermediate and advanced level. Okay, and then, okay, this is a sample of the certificate. Okay, as you can see, the certificate of your proficiency in the specific language, at which level, and your name, Page 2 is very useful because it shows what you can do. Okay, so you're listening, speaking, reading, writing. And this will be evidence of your proficiency to your future boss. They'll be able to see what you can do with your language. So I'll say this will increase your employability. Yeah.
And and to get the certificate, I think the passing grade is a C, the letter grade C, according to the center's policy. And don't worry too much to get the grade C. The grade is not so difficult because all our language modules are 100% CA, and CA means continuous assessment. That means students will be assessed throughout the semester by quizzes, tests, assignments, project, and all the components, and even the class participation and class performance. So it's not really difficult to get the letter C, and most of the students, they get a better grade. Some even say the grade in the language module pull up their CAP.
Yes.
Okay, I think we have a question in the Q&A. I think Yun Kai want to know about the placement test for the language, for example, Malay, and what should I do to prepare for the test? Okay, so usually the test date will be announced or be released or published on CLS website. But if you have queries, feel free to write to us, and we will share with you the information, the test date, and the time. And with the question how to prepare for the placement test, usually there's a written test. And then for some language programs, they do invite the candidates for oral tests just to make sure they can be placed at the right level. So again, if you have any further questions, you may want to write to the respective program. And I think Chong Yao is showing you the staff or the conveners of the respective program. So maybe we can share the link with the participant in chat.
Oh, so when you click, you will be able to write to the respective teacher to ask about the placement test.
Right. So Chong Yao, would you please copy the link and paste the link to the
sure.
chat?
Yes. Copy.
Are the placement tests usually before the semester or?
Yes, usually before. Yes. So if you have a prior knowledge, the placement test usually held in July. Mid-July, end July, or even beginning of August. And for those who, for those register for the first module, and then if they still, they do have some prior knowledge, but they didn't take the placement test before the semester start, there is still a chance for them to do the placement test. So after they declare they have the prior knowledge, and then they will be invited to sit for the placement test.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So you can hope that's helpful for you. We do have another question, actually along the same lines. How is the level of proficiency determined for which class to take? Is there an entry test, which I think we've kind of answered a little bit? Or is there any need for existing certifications or existing qualifications before being able to even start taking a language class?
Okay, so who would like to take the question?
Actually, if you are you have taken the language somewhere before, you will come to sit for the placement test, and there we will decide which level you should go to. So whether you have a certificate from or some other program, some other organization, it doesn't really reflect which level in our center you should go to. So therefore, placement test is still required.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we also require you to indicate how long your learning history is. For example, from the MOELC or from other institutions. So you need to give us some further information, like how long and which textbook you have been using, and then which maybe benchmark examination you have taken, so we can give you a suitable test. And this is also to make sure you will be placed at appropriate level. And then I see Vivian, she asked about the language level using the CEFA. This is a European framework, and it only applies for the European languages. So at the center, we have 3 European languages. They are German, French, and Spanish. Only the 3 languages, they use this CEFA to classify the language proficiency, but the other Asian languages, this CEFA is not applicable. Okay.
Do we have other questions? Let's see.
Yeah, so keep the questions coming if you have any questions. Is there a most popular language?
Several.
According to the student number.
Yes. I think
also
Korean
the capacity.
Korean and Japanese are quite popular. Spanish is growing. Yes.
Okay.
Japanese too.
But I think it's also good to consider some languages that you cannot get the course easily outside, right? Something like the Hindi, Tamil, that you can learn it appropriately, academically, that is different with the language course offered outside. Yeah.
Well, along those lines, you know, there might be institutions or schools outside where you can learn. Is there anything?
Definitely.
Is there anything different about the way that we do it at NUS compared to, for example, a commercial organization that offers classes?
We are not commercial. We are more academically. So we prepare the student linguistically and also social culturally for them to go to the target country for maybe further study, exchange, or maybe just for working there. So I think the direction is a bit different.
And also the certificate of NUS, I think is more value added compared to maybe tuition center or language centers outside. Yeah, because I think we have confidence in the NUS's professionalism here.
Okay. Yeah. Are there any other sorts of questions that you often get from students? Oh, hang on. Okay, so a question about the proficiency test again. Is it an essay format or a comprehension passage or spoken? I think go ahead.
So I think you refer the proficiency test to the CA test during the semesters, right? Okay, if you refer to the placement, the assessment throughout the semester, it's not just only the written test, because learning a language involves the 4 skill areas. As we know, is listening, speaking, reading, and writing. So these 4 skill areas will be taken into consideration during the for the assessment. So as I mentioned earlier, there will be CA components like assignments for writing, quizzes, or tests. Of course, these are all writing, but there are also video project or maybe oral tests, depends on the program's planning. So basically all the skill areas will be included.
Okay. Also in our placement test, we do have a passage as well, depends on which level you are in, or Q&A, there will be the oral part as well, to see how your pronunciation is like, reading, and all this. Basically, like what Andrew just mentioned, all 4 skills will be taken care of so that we can place you properly in the right level.
Another question about the placement test, about how often it's held.
Usually, as far as I know, the placement test is held before the semester starts. There will be usually 2 schedules for those who have prior knowledge just before they can register for language module before the semester starts. And then the other one would be maybe in the first week of the instruction week. So, so that the student can still have time to register for the module of their interest. Yeah.
And
yeah.
Now, due to the COVID-19, so I think most of us moved the placement test to online, which means it's more flexible when it comes to frequency or the time limit. You can register and then you will receive a link to do the placement test online. And as long as you are placed in a certain level and you register before the closing date, you are still able to get into our modules.
Cool. We have a question here about language studies being taken as a minor. Can it be taken as a minor? Or can it be taken as an unregistered elective if you have already decided on your major?
It can be both. Okay, say you need 20 MCs to declare a minor, but if eventually you somehow do not have enough credit to do it, they are electives, so they are still reflect in your record. Okay. Can be taken as a minor or as a registered elective? I have to, yes, yeah. So my answer is both. Either is fine.
I think maybe the participant meant unrestricted elective, not unregistered.
Yeah,
unrestricted elective.
Yes,
Yes,
electives.
yeah, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So the language modules can be taken as a UE outside your field.
Yes, yes. So I think also maybe for your consideration, which language to choose. According to my experience, I'm teaching German. So some of my students, they major in life sciences, and then they want to go to Switzerland, go to the best, the good university like ETH, or in German, ETH Zurich, to go from SEP. So they chose German to in line with their life studies, life sciences studies. So it's also depend on your future planning, maybe also what you want to major in, and then you can see your future planning or where you want to further develop.
Yeah, so
go ahead.
Sorry, I'm trying to say that no matter how many language modules you take, it's not going to be a waste. Even if you don't declare a minor, then what you have, you still have the certificate with you, and then the proficiency level to be able to communicate with people speaking that language and know that culture. So of course, if you have the capacity to declare minor, it can expand your employability. Otherwise, certificate is also very good. It's also a value-added feature. Yeah.
And then the sooner you take the language is much better.
Right.
Typically, do students, sorry, I keep asking these questions just out of my own curiosity, but typically do students, I mean, do they take a language all the way up to, an advanced level? Or, do we have students just coming in and trying maybe one or two modules and then, is that okay?
We have both, yes. Some students, they just read the first module of several languages. So we call this a language hopping. It's not really recommended, because if you spend the time, we want you to focus on one language and really continue at least 4 or 5 modules to achieve a certain level of proficiency.
But there is also actually a case that the student fall in love with a language. So then after start reading one language, then joining another, start to learn another foreign language. So at the end, double foreign, they take 2 or 3 even sometimes. They really fall in love with the languages.
Yes, yeah. So I think learning a language requires consistent effort. So you need to really put the effort. Consistency is really the key in terms of language learning.
Mm-hmm. Yes, consistency and persistency. Yes.
Right.
Okay, so maybe just to round us off a little bit, I mean, we've kind of gone a little bit into it already, but maybe is there one piece of advice that you would give to a student coming in who is maybe considering on the fence about reading one of the languages? Yeah, and then we'll leave it at that. Yeah, so anyone wants to go first?
So probably I will try to keep an open mind. It's very important to keep an open mind when you learn a foreign language, because first of all, you need to know the culture. And then if you have an open mind, you are able to learn different culture. And then also at the beginning, maybe sometimes you can find it challenging, especially if the language is different from very much different from your native mother tongue. Okay, for example, Chinese. We have 4 tones, but do not give up when you face challenges, because when you persist, and then survive, pass level 1 and 2, the rest will be easier. Once you sort of grasp the concept of it and you begin to understand the logic behind it, the path will become smoother. So persist and don't give up easily. Keep an open mind.
Thank you. Yeah, maybe before we hear the wisdom of the other two, we have a little question here about if your speaking is at an elementary level, but your writing and reading are a bit more at the intermediate level, how does that work out in terms of placement? Will you be automatically assigned to the lower level class because your oral skills are not so strong?
I think it depends on the respective program, and then we cannot just generalize, because different program, they have their own concern or maybe consideration. So I think I would like to, maybe the participant can write to the respective program to get more detailed information.
Mm-hmm. Yep, thank you. Yeah, okay, so Liana or any, what would your piece of advice be?
Diana, we want to go first?
You can go first, Ingrid.
Okay, so I think in line with what Chong Yao just said, I still want to say consistency. This is really the key. And also, other than have the curiosity mind or the open mind, I think as a language learner, it's better to have very observant, to see the sentence structure and to see how the people behave. So this is not just the language, but also the culture, the non-verbal side. So I think everything will contribute to a successful language learning.
Yeah, so in line with all the other two, I just want to highlight that just be involved. So when you involve, it means you participate, you take your active participation, be involved, then yeah, you will get the thing easier.
Mm-hmm.
And start early.
Definitely.
Start right in your first semester. So
Exactly.
by end of by time of the graduation, you should be able to achieve a certain level of proficiency.
Definitely.
Okay, so I think if there are no further questions, then we will close this session for now. Thank you all very much for spending your time with us.
Thank you very much.
Yes. So if you have any questions for us, you can write to us.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So the email, of course, is there. clssec@nus.edu.sg. You can of course write directly to the department. You can also, I mean, take a photo of the phone number if you want to. Yeah. So as we round off this session, we are going to run a little poll for the attendees. So if you please take a little bit of time to just respond and give us some feedback about this session. Coming up next at 3 p.m., so in about 20 minutes time, we are going to have a session on philosophy. And we're going to have Assistant Prof. Zachary Barnett, as well as Associate Prof. Michael Peltzer with us. Yeah, so that's coming up as you complete your poll. If you have further questions, of course, you can of course email the Center for Language Studies directly, or you can check out their website. And if you are interested to find out more information in general about CHS, about the open house, about the schedule, well, we're coming to the end of the day, kind of last 2 or 3 sessions. But you can visit chs.nus.edu.sg. The schedule is there, the different links to the different talks are there, and eventually all the recorded talks will also be, you'll be able to find the resources there. If you have questions, you can also email us at askchs@nus.edu.sg, or you can drop us a phone call during office hours on the weekdays. Yeah. So if there is nothing else, then thank you again very much for joining us. And thank you to all the attendees as well for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.